Lee Kuan Yew, the man behind the prosperity and peace of Singapore, ensured the continuous growth of his country by engaging in eugenics and genetic engineering. He incentivized women with high education and high income who will bear children by giving them $10,000 for every child they bear. On the other hand, he tried to stop women with low education and low income from breeding. He offered them 10,000 if they ligate. He didn't stop there. He set up a government agency dedicated to matchmaking male and female college graduates towards marriage. Yes, like Tinder, but government supported and for college graduates only. Hi, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I would really appreciate it. And of course, share the video if you can. I was in Singapore before the new year, and I was just reminded of how beautiful, clean, and efficient that country is. You can practically work at 3 a.m. Well, not practically, you can walk at 3 a.m. and you know that you will be able to get your destination in one piece safely. You can leave your phone, your purse, wherever for 5 hours or for 24 hours, go back and it would still be there. That's how safe the country is. And everything is so efficient. But they, of course, they paid a price in order to get to where they are right now. And those are pretty painful prices that they need to pay. And it just made me think, would you be willing to pay the price that they paid, if it means that you will have a country like Singapore? Just a little over 70 years ago, Singapore had a poor and uneducated population living in ghettos and houseboats. And then Lee Kuan Yew came to power with a unique vision, a strong political will, and an iron fist. And in the next 20 years, Singapore's economy grew eightfold. The percentage of families in poverty is 0.3%. For context, US's outdated way of measuring poverty puts 12.6% of Americans under poverty. Singapore's average life expectancy is now 84 years, the fifth in the world, bested only by Hong Kong, Japan, Macau, and Lee Kuan Yew's model, Switzerland. Of the 5.45 million Singaporeans, only 616 are homeless living on the streets, and 420 live in temporary shelters. Its crime rate is 0.17 per 100,000 population, and most of that is petty crimes. It is this prosperity and peace that made him an object of admiration and Singapore an object of envy of the world. So, how did Lee Kuan Yew achieve such economic success? How did he manage to allow their media, entertainment industry, and private entrepreneurs to flourish while keeping them in check? Well, it certainly came with such a high price. He punished families with more than 2 children. He took over a poor, struggling country. There was just no way he could feed an ever-expanding population. So he set up free family planning clinics. Then he mounted a widely successful Stop at 2 campaign, which encouraged couples to only have 2 children. That meant women having 3rd or more babies would get shorter maternity leaves, higher hospital charges, and less income tax relief. Women who chose to ligate after their 2nd child were given $5,000 as a reward. They also got top priority for public housing and their children get into better schools. Singaporeans now accept that 2 is the right number of children. Not that this has no downside. This has resulted in an aging population. In fact, just to make up for the shortage in workforce, Singapore has had to allow more immigrants in. But Lee Kuan Yew also maintained traditional values. He discouraged single parenthood by disqualifying single parents from government benefits like housing. He started racial engineering. Lee Kuan Yew started eugenics by planning how Singaporeans reproduce children to increase the occurrence of heritable features regarded as desirable. In 1983, the Graduate Mother Scheme was introduced to encourage women with higher education to have more children by offering them financial relief of up to $10,000 per child, priority in school admission, enhanced child relief for specially qualified mothers, and other preferential treatment in school admissions. On the other hand, women with less education and less income were offered 5,000 as a reward if they lie gay. They also started an assortative mating program by creating a government agency that matches men who are college graduates with women who are college graduates.
Non-graduate, then you're going to worry about whether your son and daughter is going to make it to the university.
Lee Kuan Yew said, and I quote, "If you don't include women graduates in your breeding pool and leave them on the shelf, you would end up with a more stupid society. So what happens? There will be less bright people to support dumb people in the next generation. That's a problem." He dictated how Singaporeans should budget. Singapore required all workers to save 25% of their salaries. The workers can claim that money only after the age of 55. That money funded Singapore's Central Provident Fund, or CPF. CPF builds schools, roads, hospitals, and housing. They built identical 16-story housing blocks all over the city. Each block had their own recreation center, swimming pool, shopping center, community center, and school. Now that there are enough of them, the government lets people tap their savings before age 55 to buy their own flats. At present, 88.9% of families own their homes, and the goal is to get to 100%. Perfecting education. Today, Singapore's education system is considered the best in the world. The country consistently ranks at the top of OECD's program for International Student Assessment, or PISA. They lead in math, reading, science, and in the collaborative problem-solving category. Singaporean students are roughly 3 years ahead of their American counterparts in math. They also reported themselves to be happy, more so than children in Finland, a country that is hailed as a successful example of how to achieve exceptional results with softer methods of teaching. Recently, Singapore education has started evolving in response to changing times and its own economic needs. They are aligning the classroom with the workplace. By the end of 2023, almost all schools will have applied learning programs in subjects like computing, robotics, electronics, and also drama and sports. The emphasis in all of them is on practicing in real-world environments. There will be no exams. Nipping crime in the bud. Petty crimes are heavily punished in Singapore. The fine for littering, jaywalking, spitting, and smoking in government offices is $250. Gambling, except for the state lottery, is illegal. The punishment for drug trafficking, murder, rape, and others, they get maximum sentences. Back in 1994, an American teen plus his friends challenged district laws. Michael Fay, an American teenager, vandalized cars and other establishments he was with his friends. He was sentenced to 12 weeks in prison and 6 lashes. American human rights advocates called attention to and started a debate over cultural norms. Then President Bill Clinton joined the discussion and pleaded with the Singaporean government to set Fay free. Singaporeans replied, and many Americans agreed, that lenient sentences handed down in the United States foster teenage misbehavior that could lead to bigger crimes in the future. The sentence was eventually brought down to 4 lashes, and Fay was released early for good behavior. Lee Kuan Yew did not tolerate political opposition. In 1963, Lee Kuan Yew's government launched Operation Cold Stone. The police rounded up about 100 supposed communists and communist sympathizers and detained them without a trial for up to 10 years. Once independence came in 1965, Lee Kuan Yew's government kept a British law that, among other things, suspended civil liberties and allowed for indefinite detention without a trial. The law is still on the books.
We had to lock up people without trial. If you don't do that, the country would be in ruins today.
He invited money. When America decoupled the dollar from gold in the 70s, Lee established Singapore as a regional center for foreign exchange. He exempted non-residents depositors from withholding tax. He also opened the Singapore International Monetary Exchange, which offered Asia's first euro-dollar future contracts. As a result, the financial and business service sector grew rapidly. They increased its share in GDP by over 15 percentage points over the past 3 decades, up to 31%. Lee Kuan Yew transformed Singapore into a physical economic hub. The development of the Changi Airport as a regional transport hub and the aggressive defense of Singapore as a sea freight transshipment hub made doing business very, very easy. He paid government workers so well. Lee Kuan Yew had argued often in Parliament that the best way to attract talents and avoid corruption was to pay civil servants top dollars, comparable to the earnings of the best doctors, engineers, lawyers, and others. He said, and I quote, "A strong political leader needs a neutral, efficient, honest civil service. Officers must be recruited and promoted completely on merit. They have to share the same nation-building philosophy and development goals of the political leaders. They must be adequately paid so that the temptations would not be difficult to resist." Open complaint system. He established a special bureau for the prevention of corruption. Anybody can complain, anonymously or personally. Each complaint is investigated and the complainer can keep track of the progress if they so wish. Lee Kuan Yew acknowledged that he knew that the Bureau would only be effective if they trust that the people they answer to are incorruptible. He said, and I quote, "The top must set an example. Then the anti-corruption agency can do their work without looking over their shoulders. They know if they discover something wrong, the top will back them." Lee Kuan Yew delivered, and the foundations that he set are so strong, Singapore continues to prosper to this day. People think that the strict regulations make sense because they are provided for, secure, and safe. No one seems to fear the government. Singaporeans who have problems don't disrupt social harmony by talking about it in public. They gather evidence and then go make a case directly to the Bureau. Call him a dictator. Call him a hypocrite. Call him whatever you want. What matters is that by all measures, he did his job well. And he has an entire peaceful, prosperous country to show for it. Well, as you know, Lee Kuan Yew already passed away. I remember watching one of his interviews, and he said that even if when he's dead, when something goes wrong with the country that he built, he's going to come back from the dead and fix it. And I remember thinking, well, if there's anybody who can do it, it would be you. But right now, the Prime Minister of Singapore is his son. But there was another Prime Minister in between the two of them. So it made me think, because in another interview that he gave, he said that it is the kind of society and system of government that the United States of America and other Western countries have, those aren't applicable. Those won't work in Asian countries just because we have a different culture. Some journalists and scholars said that that's just an excuse, because the fact is that he did sort of semi-democratic government is what he applied to Singapore. But it just made me think whether or not he was right, that maybe this is what it will take for a country to run as efficiently as Singapore runs. That not everything is going to be not peaceful, but beautiful. Not everything is going to be smooth. Not everything will run smoothly. There will be pain and there will be a lot of sacrifices. But if we manage to get a leader as efficient and as courageous and as smart as he is, and will run the country the way that he run it, maybe we will all get to where Singapore is right now. So I'm just wondering, would you be willing, if you were in given a choice and you were told that you're going to have a leader like Lee Kuan Yew, and there's he would imprison people for 10 years without trial, and things like that. Would you say yes if it guarantees that that your country will be as prosperous, will be as peaceful, and will be as safe as Singapore is? Leave your comments in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, you can always get in touch with me in any of the social media links that you see on your screen right now. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I would really appreciate it. And know that I always appreciate all of you. Thank you. Till next time.